let's go on to warehouse payment table. So in the second sheet, yep. So in 4G, you kind of already did the first part of that with the warehouse purchase was already done for you. Used to not be, so I'm not sure when that got changed, but it did get changed. But those are still, I think those are very helpful things to know how to do goal seeks for different options that you may look for, especially in regards to like a loan. You can use it for any function that's within Excel, which has thousands of them, but that could be very useful to you in your own life. So that was why I kind of spent some time going over that because it doesn't have to be for warehouse, it can be for car or mortgage or whatever. So in this case, um, what we see here is that we have the amount of loan, we have the number of months that we're going to pay on it, and then we have the annual interest rate. And so what we want to do at this time is we want to do some calculations to see, okay, what are my actual payment options? So this guy may have gone to the bank and he sees that the interest rates they're going to give him are between 7.5 and 4.0. And it could vary based off of the number of monthly payments he says that he's willing to make. So at this point in time, they got him to 120 and they told him this is your best option, 120 with 5.25 interest rate. And so now he's gonna like, you know what? I'm gonna do my own calculations. I'm okay. I'm comfortable maybe doing 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, or 360 monthly payments. And that's a lot of years. Really think about it. And that's going up to like 3 years. So from five to, or not 3 to 30. So it's like going from 5 to 30 years to pay off a warehouse. Um, so yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna help out the owner here by um, using the data table command within Excel to help fill out the rest of that. So before we begin in cell B8, which you already have selected, Sandra, we're going to enter in a payment function. So if you want to use the wizard, you can. So yeah, you can go to formulas and then go to financial in the function library. Yeah. And then let's go to payment. Yep. And sometimes this may be a lot easier for many of you all, especially when starting out with a brand new function, because it kind of step by step shows you this is what needs to go in this section. This is what needs to go in this section. And the parts that are in bold are things you have to include. The parts that are not in bold are things that are optional to include that will change the calculation. And it very clearly tells you what each part is for and what it's going to do. And so for instance, here it says rate. Well, where is the interest rate? Well, the interest rate is, yes, it's in B4. So we can select B4. But we're going to divide that by 12. So in the same line, just do divide by 12. And why are we dividing by 12? Well, that's the annual interest rate. Notice it even says in A4, interest rate per year. How are we doing their calculations here? Our payments are monthly. These are monthly payments. So we're dividing by 12. If our payments were bi-monthly, so 2 times a month, then it would be 24. If our payments were quarterly, then we would divide by 4. If they were annually, we would divide by 1 or make no difference. Okay, so there's just something to think about whenever you're working with problems like this. Look to see what the interest rate is. Is it per month? Is it how does it compare to how you're paying? Okay. All right. Next, number of periods. So NPER, so the total number of payments on the loan. So how many payments are we going to make? Well, at this point in time, to start off, we say 120, which is in B3. So we can select B3. Okay. B3. B3. Yeah. B as in boy and the number 3. Oops. Mhm. So that was B4 divided by 12. Okay. And then the number of payments was B3. Yep. And so one thing to note when you're doing the data table, you're going to use information from somewhere else to build the formula first. And then the data table will pull the information from the table. Okay. So next is the PV or the present value of the loan. Okay. So the present value of the loan, yep, it's 9.7. That's correct. And so one thing that we could do at this point, notice at the midway through the wizard there, you'll see it says equals and it has a negative. It's like $10,460. Yeah. So we understand that it's negative because this is money you're going to be paying back, right? And we've discussed this in the previous videos as well. The fact that it's negative, you're going to be paying money back. However, most people, if they see that, they may try to use that as an excuse of like, oh, you actually owe me money for buying this car, which I'm not sure how to hold up in a court of law. It might actually be able to get through. I think I mentioned how to you all before how I did that before with a receipt, and it had helped them make some changes because things were coming out as if there was a negative amount due, which meant that the store I went to owed me money. It was a restaurant. So, but anyway, so we need to make the present value negative in order to fix this, so that there's no confusion whenever we give this table to the guy. So in front of PV, or sorry, not in front of in the PV part, yeah, you can put a negative in front of that. Yep. And notice how our result, the formula result, now becomes a positive 10,460. Yeah. So you can click OK now. We're not going to do future value or change the type. Yep. Click OK. All right. Cool. Excellent. So now we have created a formula, and we can see that at this point in time, we would owe, if we took the plan that they initially gave us, we'd owe $10,000 for $10,460.94. That's how much we would pay a month. And we saw earlier on the previous sheet that was about $1.2 million overall that we'd be paying back. Let's see what other options there are for us. Okay. All right. So in order to do that, we're going to create a 2-variable data table. And so the way a data table works again is that the formula that we have in that corner, it's going to take the column headers that are to the right of that and the row headers that are below that, and it's going to replace them appropriately in the formula. So we have to tell it how to do that, and then it'll fill everything out in the table using that information. So let's get this started. So before we do that, we need to tell it where the table's range will be. We don't technically have to do this. It just makes it a lot easier for it. So if you would, please, could you select from B8 to H16? And those of you that may be following along in your book, I'm on step number 3. So B8, B as in boy, 8. Yep. Select from there down to H16. So that whole table. Yep. Excellent. Now that you've done that, let us go to the data tab. Okay, and then go to the forecast group, and we're going to go to what if analysis. Oops. Yeah, what if analysis. And then go to data table. Awesome. All right, and then so it says what is the row input, and so if you look at everything that's on that row, we on that top row, everything on that top row are a number of payments, right? So we're gonna say these things that are in this top row, I want them to replace a certain thing in the formula. I want them to replace what a number of payments was. Well, if we look at our original formula, we will remember that the number of payments came from B as in boy 3. So you can type B3, or you can select it. Yeah, so B3, good. All right, now the next one says, what's the column input cell? So in the column, we have the interest rates. So we can say, what was our original interest rate? Yeah. So you can select that one or type it in. So what was it, B4? Yeah. Good. And now you can press OK. And then it should automatically fill out everything else. And notice that it does exactly that. Excellent. So these are all our different options for monthly payments. And so let's make them look like monthly payments. So monthly payments don't have 6 decimals, right? and they're usually in currency style. So let's select those. Yeah. And then let's change the way they look. So let's go to the home tab. And I showed you all a neat trick that you could do from the cell styles. So let's go to cell styles, which will be the same as, well, if you notice, Sandra was already going ahead and say, okay, I'm gonna do accounting and I'm gonna decrease the decimals. But there's another way to do this, and we're gonna do that by selecting currency under the number format group. Yeah. And what that does, it automatically changes it to that accounting style or accounting number format. It gives it that look automatically. All right, cool. And so now that we got that done, you can click off somewhere. Yeah. Okay. So we see that if we could pay close to $20,000 a month, we could be okay with that top one, right? Okay. So one of the things that people sometimes ask me when they look at this is like, how do I use this table? And so there's a couple of ways. So our client has said that they can do at most $10,000 a month. They can't pay more than that. And so when I look at this table, a lot of times people will say, "Oh, he can't pay more than 10,000 a month." I'll pick H16 because that's the smallest one. It is the smallest one, but remember that if you pay the less that you are paying a month, that means the more time it's going to take to pay things off, right? And we can know that because of our number of payments in this section, right? Okay. And so the fact that we can pay that 10,000 though, if we take a look at where does that begin? Where's the first thing that's 10,000 or less? So less than 10,000. So that was a little more than 10,000, but we only have 10,000 to pay each month. Yes, I'm glad you did that. So click on that one. It looks like D16. All right. So sometimes people won't. They'll like look for the, oh well, the 180s they look a little better still. Yes, but the less number of months we are paying an amount, better. Another thing to notice is look how low the interest rate is. So this is kind of a place we can look at and say, okay, this is our starting point. This is something important for us to note. So in the styles group, yeah, click on cell styles and we'll give it a note. So the good part about this is we could highlight that and say, hey, you told us you could spend 10,000. So here are the options you have. If you really think that you can, this way you can pay off within 120 months. If you think that it's, which is what you wanted to begin with, the only thing is we need them to get the interest rate down to 4%. If the bank won't do this, then you'll have to look at the option. You'll have to go to 180 months, right? And maybe we'll maybe tell them, you could talk to them, see if you can do somewhere in between 120 and 180 months. But this way they can kind of see how things would change by that. So like if it becomes impossible for them to get that 4% from the bank, they can go back and argue for the options in the 180s. So maybe they'll say, okay, bank won't give me interest rate lower than 5.2%, 5.25%. And so they end up taking the 5.5 180 option or something. But that'll be up to them. But this way you can see all of your options. So in your own personal life, if you did this, you can go in the bank with an idea, okay, here are my options. Here's what I'm going to convince them. They need to drop the interest rate to this point. This way I can get this amount of money that I can pay. If they say they can't go lower than a certain interest rate, then I can like look on that row with my interest rates and say, okay, what monthly payments am I comfortable doing? Which one? What's the least amount of payments that has the most amount of money I pay a month, so I pay less in the end. Okay. All right. Are there any questions about a data table or how you could use this in your own life? Okay. So one thing I also would do, again, this is not a part of this project, but if I was to do this in my own life, I would end up making a separate data table after this that show me how much I would be paying overall for whatever it is I'm buying based off of what's selected here. Okay. Kind of like what we did on the previous page with the we multiplied the number of months by the money that was there, so we could see how much you would end up paying in the end. Okay, so pretty straightforward. All right, cool. So since there's no questions with that, let's move on to the next thing, which is go to the job information sheet. Excellent. All right, so you all may recall that we did a scripted lecture in which we looked at one table that had all this information on here. And I told you that, if you, back in the day, if you would get that Christmas catalog, you would call in the store and you would give them the order number, and then they would use that to like look through a drop down at select the order number, and it will automatically populate the description, how much money it would cost, and things like that. Well, you can use the same thing to kind of collect salaries or other information. And so here's an example where it's done with salaries and job descriptions based off of certain job codes that people have. And so we're going to take stuff that's here and we're going to use it in a similar fashion on the staffing plan sheet. So if you want to go to the staffing plan sheet, actually, so we can look at it, I can maybe even easier to kind of understand what we're going to do here. So looking at this, we have the store staff planning form. And so what this is we want to know, okay, for each store, so Jesse's Jewelers, what's the jobs of the people that are working there? So what's the job code? That'll automatically give us the description and the salary. So then we can see how much money they need to be paid. And then that way we could take the total so we know this is how much money needs to be coming into the store so we can pay these people. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the job information sheet. Okay. So on the job information sheet, what we're going to do now is we're going to select A4 to C11, just like we did before. And we're going to sort these because whenever you want to have, say, like what we talked about before, the data validation or drop down list, so that you can be able to look up stuff, it makes more sense when it's sorted. So Sandra's already gone to the data tab looking ahead. So we're going to go into sort and filter group, and we're going to go click on sort. And the great thing about the way that she selected things, she selected A4 to C11. The reason for that is because when you had A4 on there, it has those column headers too. And if your data has headers, you'll notice that in the sort dialog box that comes up in the right corner, it'll have a checkbox that says my data has headers. And that can be very useful to you because when you click on the sort by, you click the drop down for the sort by, you'll see those headers as options. And so we're going to sort by the job code. And we want this to be on the cell values, and we want this to be from A to Z in ascending order. That way it's alphabetically going up. Think about it this way too. If you had a ton of those, what's going to be easier for you to be able to look at? A bunch of random ones, or if you know looking at it, oh, this is in order alphabetically. So I know if I'm looking for M, I need to go after B and C. Okay. All right. So now that that's been done, you can click OK. And to make our lives a little easier, what we're also going to do is we're going to create a name specifically for the job codes because that's what we're going to use. We're going to use the job code. So if you would select A4 to A11, A4 to A11, A is in Apple. Yep, cool. And so we're going to create a name for job code. So if you would go to the Formulas tab, go to the Define Names group, and then let's do Create from Selection. No, not that command. Create from selection. Yep. Okay. And so here, if you do create from selection, I wanted to show this more in video because someone asked me why would you ever use create from selection? It can make it easier sometimes. For instance, here the name that we want is already there in A4. So by selecting A4 to A11, it then says, hey, where do I get the name from? If you use create from selection, we say we're getting it from the top row. It actually kind of already recognizes that that's in a different font style. It's a different cell style, so it kind of recognizes this is probably what you want. So click OK. And now we should have a new name called job code. And if you're not sure if it's there or not, two ways to do it. Yep, you can look at the name box, or you could look at the name manager. So the name box is where I usually go to do it. Name manager, you can click on it. That way people can see it. It's also there. Okay, cool. You can close that. Excellent. All right. You're getting really good at this, Sandra. You might need to pick up a job of teaching this. Like, man, maybe we can hire you a couple of years. So, all right. Let's go to the staffing plan sheet now. Now that we got that all settled, because all our stuff is alphabetized and we have a name to make it easier to pull in that data. All right, let's see. So let's go to A9 and A9 to A18. Notice that this is called job code. This is where our job codes would go. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that only job codes can be entered into this cell. And so to do that, if we go back to the data tab and then go to the data tools group, if you click on data validation and then click on data validation, what this will do is data validation is you are literally saying that the data that was entered was valid or correct. It's of the right type, so to speak. So this is a great tool to make sure that people are entering things incorrectly. You can get down to as far as saying that people have to enter in a certain date in this cell, number in this one, text in this one, things like that. And so you see lots of different options here. There's even a custom option where you can get real crazy with. But in our case, we're going to make it really easy and make it a list. So select list. Notice to the right there's two checkboxes, ignore blanks, which means it allows for people to have blanks. If you have that unchecked, people have to have something entered in every part of the cells that you have selected. The second checkbox is unique to list, includes a in-cell dropdown. That makes it very simple for people because then you can just click a dropdown and say, oh, here are the choices I can make. In source, we're going to tell it what our source is. So if you would type in that text entry there, so put equals, and we know what our source is. Our source is going to be the job code. So capital J O B J O B. Oh, it's lowercase o b. B and then underscore and then code with a capital C. Yes, and then that was the name that we gave our data from the job information sheet. So if you click OK here, if you click the drop down now, we should be able to see. You can actually just click the drop down on there. Yeah, you should see that those job codes are automatically there in that drop down. That means that the only things that can be entered in the cells that we have selected currently right now are these job codes. So that'll make using this a lot easier. Excellent. All right, so let's see. Any questions there? Okay. All right. So next up, we're going to click on A9, and you can use the drop down if you want, but we want MMG. Okay. And then in B9, what we want to happen for B9 and for E9 is for it to automatically say, oh, I have MMG. Then that means this stuff. We wanted to pull the description and salary from the job information sheet. So in order to do that, we're going to use something that's known as a VLOOKUP. So all the lookups do is they give reference to oops, something happened. Okay. I think we're good. All right. Maybe. Are we? Yes, we're good. Okay. So sorry, the lookups, what they do is they give reference to based off what value it has, it'll look up to see what should go in another spot. So it's kind of like if you were to do I think of it as kind of like a dictionary in some instances where you're like, okay, I want to look up the definition of this word. And so you use that word, you go to the dictionary, maybe your dictionary is in a table type format. And then at the end of that, what do you decide? You're like, okay, this is the definition that goes with this word. And then you can spit it out or say it or use it however you want. So it's kind of the same thing. We're going to define these words. Well, these words have already been defined. The words in this case being a job code. The job code has already been defined in the job information sheet. So we're going to do a lookup function using the job codes to see what the description is and what the salary is. So to begin let's insert a lookup function. And to make things a little easier, if you could do the wizard for it, so go to the formulas tab. And then there should be a lookup and reference group, or command, excuse me, lookup and reference. So it's right after date time. So if you keep going, no, go back in the function library. Yeah, there, you had it. Go back to the function library group. Back over. Yeah, that group. Nope, so go back one more. There it is, lookup and reference. So you click that drop down there, look for VLOOKUP. Awesome. All right, and so now you have your wizard to help kind of build this. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do now. So it says, what value are you looking up? Well, we want to look up the job code, which we have right now in A9. So you can click A9. All right, excellent. Let's go to table array. All right, so for the table array, we're gonna have to go to the job information sheet. And where's the table that it should be looking up things in? Yeah, it's all of that. So that's the specific one we want, but we want it to look over the entire thing. So if you select from A4 to C11, A4 to C11, yep. That will allow it to say, okay, I need to look up somewhere in this table for the stuff that was in A9, the job codes. And so in this case, where we are currently, so if you click on the column index number, remember we want description. You'll notice that description was in the second tab, second column. So the column index number is going to be 2. So that way, when it goes to the job, it's going to say, okay, what's an A9? What's the job code? In this case, MMG. It's going to go to the job information sheet and look up MMG. And then in this case, we told it to go to the second column. It's going to go to the second column once it finds MMG, and it's going to return to us the description. So you'll notice that it says we would get manager as a result. All right, so which is correct. So it's going to click OK. Actually, yeah, sorry, I messed up, but that's okay. So managers, we got manager correctly. There's one thing that we can do here as well. So if you were to double click into that or go to the formula bar, whichever you prefer. So on the in the part for the job information, if we were to then copy down this formula for the rest of the cells in A, we would run into an issue. The reason is because remember when you copy things down, oh, you're good. Don't copy that yet. I just want you to double click inside of the formula bar because we're gonna make a change. Yeah. So when we do copy things down though, it's gonna use that A4 and C11 as a relative reference. Remember that a relative reference moves as you copy it. So as we use a fill handle going down, those values will also move down. And remember, down is the rows, which are the numbers. So if we move down from here, copying down this formula, it would go from A4C11 to A5C12. which may not be an issue at first, but as we continue to copy down, it won't even be in the table that's on the job information sheet anymore at all. It won't even be in the right spot. So we want to tell it to stay specifically at A4C11. So in order to do that, you may recall that we had to give it an absolute reference. So to give it an absolute reference, to tell it must stay at A4C11, we have to use those dollar signs around A4 and C11. So there was two ways that you could do this that we talked about. You could put the insertion point directly on the A4 in the C11 and then just press F4, or you could type in the dollar signs yourself in front of the column and the row. So however you want to do that, Sandra, is up to you. You can type it.
Can I select the A4 and the C11 inside the information box here, and then put the F4?
Yes.
Okay, like that. Okay. Let's see if I can. Like that.
You can
Can I
give it a
push
try.
the F4?
Yeah,
Huh?
give it. Try your F4 on your keyboard. Yep.
No.
Nothing happened. Okay, yeah. So
No.
I think you were the one where your button didn't work at all, even if you pressed the function key.
Yeah.
So type in the dollar signs. Yeah. But some of you at home watching, some of you at home watching may be able to just press F4 or function F4 and then it'll work. But if it doesn't, don't worry. Just like Sandra's doing here, you could type in the dollar signs yourself manually.
How about that one as well?
Yeah, that one too. So that C and the 11, and that should be it. Yep.
Okay.
Good. Yep.
So then enter.
Yep. Now you're good and done. So you can press enter.
Okay.
And we can actually copy that formula down to down to B. Was it going down to 18? Looks like.
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. And notice that those say NA, and those we have learned about error checking, and so we see that green triangle too, and we see the hashtag NA. Well, what does that mean? Well, it's not applicable. Like it doesn't know what to put there. And the reason for that is because there's nothing in column A at the moment for those rows. So it doesn't know what to look up. So that's fine. So the next thing we're going to do is in the number of positions section, we can type 1. And then in the type column, we can type management.
How to spell it?
M-A-N-A-G-E. M-E-T. N-T. Yep.
M-E-T?
No, M-E-N-T.
E-N-T. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
No, you're good. All right. So the next thing is salary. You may recall that the salary is actually on the job information sheet as well. So we want to do similar to what we did before with VLOOKUP. In fact, if you actually click on job information sheet, the only difference from the description and salary is the column, right? Description is in the second column. Salary is in the third column. So one thing that I would do personally in this case, so if you go back to staffing plan sheet, is I would go over to the formula that's in B. That's in B9. That's in B9. I would copy, and then in E9 I would paste this. Regular paste. Yep. And then what I would do is I would go to the formula bar. And then notice it says D9 now, but it still should be A9, right? That's what we're looking things up on. I'm gonna change that back to an A. Excellent. And then the only other thing that needs to be changed is that 2 at the very, very end, because that tells it what column to look up stuff on, and we know that salary is in column 3. Okay. So you can press enter now. And notice that it got the salary from job information sheet. Okay. So if you did it doing the VLOOKUP wizard, you could do that, and you'll notice that you're putting the same things in. If I ever see a chance to cut time out, or if I see something looks pretty much the exact same, I try to copy and paste. Um, it is Copy and paste does lead to the most common errors that are caught within auditing. They're usually caused because people copy and pasted formulas for stuff without fully understanding what it was being used for. In this case, I knew that it would be fine to do so. So you do want to be careful when doing that, though, especially in the professional world, because you may be copy and paste something that should not be used in what you're using it for. So in this case, it's fine though, but I do want to point that out. All right, sweet. So we got the salary in. You'll also notice that once the salary went in, the budget amount changed on its own. If you actually click on F9, oops, hit escape, F9, yep. You'll see in the formula bar that it is C9 times E9. So those are already set. The budget amounts have already been set for this worksheet. So which makes sense, right? That you would take how many people are in that position times the amount that they should be paid each, and that gets you the whole budget amount, right? So now that's been taken care of. If you go to E9 again, what we can do is we can copy that formula down to E18, so that way everything is taken care of. Yep. Sweet. All right, great. So only a few more things to take care of here. How about we begin entering in some actual data here, huh? So if you go to A10, let's see, let's look up C cash. Good. And so that's a cashier. For the number of positions, let's say we have 3 cashiers. And in the type, let's call it cashier. I think that's a good example of the type that is. All right, cool. How about for A11? Let's do CCSA. So that's customer service associate. So let's have one of those. And the type will be customer service. Okay. So it's the same spelling as what is what's in B. Same spelling as in what's in B, customer service. You see what's in B11? Yeah. So that same spelling. Excellent. All right. Next, let's do MAMG. And she gives our assistant managers. Yeah. And we need 3 of those, 3 assistant managers. And then our type's going to be management. All right. Excellent. Let's see. Great. And so let's just say that's all we have for this store. So we can delete row 13 through 18 because we don't need those. So 13 through 18. And we want to delete the rows. Be very careful. We're the whole row, not just the, yeah. Good. Okay. Yep. Sweet. So the only other thing that's left on this section is we need to know how much of our budget is going to be taken by these jobs, right? So let's take the sum of those jobs. So in F13, yeah, we need to take those sums. So how do you want to do that? It's up to you. I know what Sandra's favorite thing to do is. Go ahead. Auto sum. So yep, and auto sum works as usual. So yeah, you can press OK there. And then how about you actually give that total a total cell style, just so it stands out more. So it'll be nice and bold and have those lines around it. Perfect. Excellent. All right, cool. All right. So questions? Okay. And we can move on then. So we've already dealt with the job information sheet because we use that to do staffing. So let's look at the bracelet one, bracelet revenue. And that's actually towards the end here. Okay. So on this sheet, this is similar to what we did in the last class where we did look the error checking and what we did on last Thursday too. I think we ended last Thursday with error checking. But when you want to audit a sheet, so make sure, hey, is everything on here what it's supposed to be? The book's balancing out correctly? Did someone mess up this Excel spreadsheet? So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna check that out. So so in order to audit this, look at cell I5. I think that's the first one I see with a green triangle. Yeah, so I5. Okay, so if we take a look at I5, it says that in the formula bar, it says that C5, okay, which kind of makes sense, right? Times 1 plus B14. Well, B14 is for crystal bracelets. You see that? If you can you go to B14 just so that we can see. You don't have to click on it, but just kind of point to B14. Yeah, so B14 is for crystal bracelets, but I5 is not for crystal bracelets. What's I5 for? If you look at over in A column, you'll see what I5 is supposed to be for. What is I5 supposed to be for? Yeah, it should be beaded bracelets, not crystal bracelets. So if we click on the little, let's see that. So actually, how about this? Go to the formulas tab, and let's use trace precedence some more so people can get a feeling for that. So yeah, in the formula auditing group, so it makes it even easier to see that, okay, this is taking the information that's in C5, which makes sense, right? We're looking at second quarter for beaded bracelets, but it's using the crystal bracelets growth rate in order to project the sales. That doesn't make sense, right? It should still be the beaded bracelets. And so what we need to do is we need to fix this. So if we were to click on error checking in the formula auditing group, error checking, yep, you were to click on that, we have an option. It says to copy from the left. Let's not do that. Let's do edit in the formula bar. Edit in the formula bar. Yeah. Okay, cool. And so it took us to the formula bar. That's all that did. And so we see what the issue is. It's going to B14. It should not be going to B14. As we've said, we are dealing with beaded bracelets. B14 is clearly dealing with crystal bracelets. So instead of B14, we should be looking at what? Where are the beaded bracelets in that little chart at the bottom for growth? The beaded bracelets in the little blue table looking thing at the bottom. Beaded bracelets. Yes, and that's B what? I can't tell what that is. I can't see what row that is. I'm sorry. I assume that's 15, not 14. Is that correct? Sandra, does that say B15 instead of 14?
This one is B. No, what one? Crystal
Uh,
bracelet?
no, we want the beaded bracelets. So what's the beaded bracelets one?
It's a 15, no? That one?
Yeah,
Here?
15. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we want B15 instead of
Yeah,
B14.
okay.
So in the formula bar, yeah, instead of
Sure.
14, there we go. Sweet. All
Mhm.
right, and then you can click on you can click resume, or you can press enter, however you want to do it. Boom. Okay, looks like it's no longer an issue.
Mhm.
So now it should go to, it automatically went to M6, right? Okay, good. So in M6, it tells us the hashtag error is that it's dividing by 0. So if we look in the if we look at the formula bar, so you can click on edit in formula bar if you want, or you can just look up there yourself. Either way works.
Adding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We get L6 divided by L10. So we just look
Okay.
at, yeah, there's nothing there. So what should it actually be dividing by instead of 10? Which one should it be dividing by? Let's see. We're looking at percentages. Yep, L9, that's right. So change the 10 to a 9. And so she got that because we're doing percents, and you may recall from the previous lessons and from your math classes, or maybe just life in general, that when you do a percent, you take your part divided by the whole. So we get our part divided by the total here. Excellent. All right, cool. So you can click resume there, and it should move automatically to the next one, which is F7. Okay. So in F7, we see it says it's taking the sum of B7 to D7. Is that correct? Should it be going from B7 to D7? Something probably missing, right? What's missing? No, yeah, it shouldn't be doing that. So something is missing. It's going from B to D, and it should be going to what? You can go ahead and make the change if you want, Sandra. Instead of B to D, what should it be going to?
I don't know.
All right. Well, so if you click on F7.
F.
Oh no, just click on F7.
Okay, F7. Okay.
All right. If I told you that this is the total of all the sales for ankle
Yeah,
bracelets,
no, it's wrong because it should be up to D, no? D7. No?
yeah, it's going up to D7, but should it go to D7 or should it go somewhere else? What should it go up to? If that's supposed to be the total, what would you expect the total to include? Yeah,
E7 as well.
E7. Yeah. So instead of stopping at,
Oh,
yeah,
put the E7 as well.
yep,
Yeah, here E7.
boom. There you
No?
go. Yep,
Yep.
that's right.
Mm-hmm. Resume.
Yep. Now there was an option to copy from above, which would have taken care of that too. But
Mm-hmm.
I just want you all to get used to the idea that, okay, I should probably look over my sheet to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to. So that was a good example of that. So good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we should be in J8 now. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in J8, uh, and the book actually tells you just to click copy formula from the left.
Mm-hmm. From here or from?
No, on the actual dialog box, there's a function that says copy formula from the left, a button that says that.
I don't know.
On error checking dialog box, the
Okay,
thing
yeah.
to the
Here?
right. Yeah. So it says copy
Oh,
formula from the left at the top.
yeah, that one.
Yeah, the book says just to do that. So
Uh-huh.
I'm just gonna tell you to do that.
The
Cool.
error check is completed for the entire. Okay.
Cool.
It's
So
finished.
no, you're good. So what that means is that it no longer Excel no longer sees errors. Does that mean
Mm-hmm.
there are no errors? No, it does not mean that there are no errors. So what you should actually do at this point in time is to like check each cell that has a formula involved. So all the totals, all the percents, everything from H onward should be checked. I can tell you that everything else is good to go though, from my experience with this. But
Do
you
like
should,
that.
in reality, actually check all the total stuff, and then everything from pretty much G onward, you should check to make sure that the formula is what you expect it to be. So, but we don't have to actually do that. So, but what I do want to do is, let's see, M5. Where's M5?
Which one?
M5.
E5.
Yeah,
E5.
M5. Sorry.
M5. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just you.
So notice that M5 and M6, there's a difference in the way they look, right?
Mm-hmm.
M6 looks very different from all the other percentages, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's fix that. So with M5 selected, go to the Home tab.
M6 or M5?
No, yeah, with M5 selected, go to the Home tab and click on Format Painter.
Okay, format painter.
Okay, you guys may recall that Format Painter allows us to copy the format to another cell. Yeah, so click on M6 now, and now it fixes the format to match what everything else has. All right. Okay. So let's see, that's really everything. The only thing that's left that you all need to do for this project would be the section steps 14 through 16, which mainly have to deal with you doing page setup and centering things horizontally, inserting your footer and stuff. But I'm gonna let you all do that from the instructions because I know you know how to do that now. You've done it, 12 times, actually more than that technically at this point.
Can I do everything for the every
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can group all the sheets and do that. Yeah, it's like make everything center horizontally and stuff. So looks like Sandra wants to display that for you all, so you all should be thankful for her for doing so. Great, and then. All right, excellent. So,
tag. What is the tag?
all right, your tags this time are New York revenue. Okay.
Okay. Save.
Okay. Yeah, if you go, yep, you can save it, and when you go back, so there are a couple other sheets, things that you could change to. So if you ungroup the worksheets,
Again, back.
yeah, ungroup the worksheets,
Okay.
and then select the warehouse payment table, the staffing plan, and the bracelet revenue. So those. Yep. And so for those of you that are wondering how she's doing that, she's holding control as she clicks each one. And then if you change the orientation for those, change
Landscape.
to landscape. Yeah. Yep. Okay, excellent. All right, and then the last thing is ungroup those worksheets and select just the bracelet revenue. And then if you go to the, since we're already on the page layout tab, go to the scale to fit group.
Scale to fit. What?
Yeah, scale to fit group. You're in the page setup group. Go to the scale to fit group.
I don't know. In the home.
It's all right. So remember, our tabs are at the top. So we're on the page layout tab. Our groups are named at the bottom of those little things. No, on the ribbon. So up at the top, underneath the tab, the groups are named at the bottom. So that first one's called themes. That one's page setup. Go to scale to fit. It's the next one. It's the third one.
I don't know.
All right. So
Arrange scale. I find it.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Scale to fit. So change the scale from 100% to 90%.
Oops. 9.
Sweet.
9.
Yep, 90. That's right. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And okay.
Save.
Yeah, you can save. And then let's just take a look to see what this looks like. So if you go to print preview, so go file print.
What is a print?
Yeah. So we aren't gonna actually print, but it's just kind of nice to be able to view it. So
Mm-hmm.
under settings, where it says print active sheets,
What?
at the top, at the very top of settings, keep
Which?
going. Yep.
That
Click the
one?
drop down. Yeah, click the
That
drop
one?
down. Yes, click the drop down.
Okay.
Click print entire workbook.
Entire. What one? Print
Print
selection. Tire workbook.
entire.
Okay.
And this way we can look at all 5 pages. So we can look to see how neat they look now. So there's our first one. If you click next, we got the second one.
Yeah.
And you keep going. I want you to look at all 5 of them. So look how nice that looks landscape now. Okay, keep going. That's landscape now, so it's nicer. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then cool. So there's our dot one. Those look nice portrait still. Keep going. Last one, bracelet revenue. Everything's all nice, stretched out. Landscape. All right, great. That's all of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. All right. So that was all of 4G. So it looks like we are a week ahead, which is great. Tuesday will be short for class due to, like I said, I have a meeting. They're coming downtown at 2, so I'll probably cut class early, like 1:50, 1:55, so I can make sure everything's good to go for that meeting. But this works out well because we are ahead. I'll ask if there are any questions with 4G and all of 4, and then depending on how things go, I'll be prepared to go forward to 5, but I will not force us to go to 5 if there are questions. So don't feel obligated for that. So, all right, I'll stop recording now.